We're Alex and Stu, old friends living in different countries, talking about our lives as creative professionals, the things we're into, what we're learning, and telling tales of the fun we're having along the way.
This is our way of helping to have a glass half full approach to life, and we're hoping it can help you too. Welcome to The Last Half. Hi, how are we doing?
Not bad, thank you. Thank goodness we've managed to get set up and back into doing a new podcast. We haven't done one for a long, long time, is it? It's been a couple of months, unfortunately. Understandable.
Yeah, I mean, it's as Aaron Lewis of a Stained once said, it's been a while, and those true words couldn't hit any harder at the moment. But here we are, and we've brought ourselves together once again.
It's good to see you, mate. It's good to catch up, and hopefully we've got some good topics to cover for our listeners and our watchers, if you're still around. It'd be really good to sort of catch up, Stu, and chew the fat and find out what's been going on. Because we've had a couple of catch-ups over the last few months, haven't we? But it's been very busy for both of us, and for various different reasons. So, yeah, where should we start?
Well, I think we have to caveat the entire episode to the fact that Alex and Becky are now parents. So if Alex is slurring his words and talking more rubbish than normal, that's because he probably hasn't slept in the last... How long are we talking now, Alex?
6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Wow, okay, that's meant
Yeah, it's gone quick, isn't it? Got the coffee on the go. No alcohol today, just some strong coffee for me.
Why don't you and I raise a glass, and I'll let you toast it to the birth of your new daughter.
Here's to Ray, to the birth of my new daughter, mine and Becky's new daughter. Cheers, Stu. Thanks for all your support with everything.
Cheers.
And cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Let's have a good catch up.
I'm sorry that I'm drinking WKD, but it's what was left in the house by my sister-in-law, and for once she's provided some value to me, so thought I'd take advantage of it. Let's get going. Let's start. So we're in the first section of the podcast, which normally is dedicated to work. But of course, in life, there's more to life than work. So let's get back to the baby chat. Alex, how's it been? How's Ray? How's Becky? How are you? How's the house? How are your in-laws, who are also having to hear a lot of baby screaming and whatnot that comes with it?
So, yeah, it's been interesting. It's been 6 weeks now. Since we managed to welcome Ray into the world, RAE. She's beautiful. And it was a tumultuous start. It's been an interesting journey. I'm thankful that I had a good 4 weeks off of work to be present and to be available and to experience those once in a lifetime moments that neither myself or Becky have ever come close to experiencing before. So yeah, it was a tumultuous start. But it's all good. Everything's all good now. It's all positive. It was a very quick birth. Becky ended up being induced, which they expect to take 24 to 48 hours. And so Becky was induced at 9 a.m. on the Thursday morning. On the Friday morning. It was Friday morning. 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. And it's fully expecting to be able to come back to the hospital the following morning for an update, for a check-in. We were fortunate we were able to get an outpatient induction. Usually they're inpatient inductions, which means you have to stay in the hospital and you're monitored. But we found out that we could actually request to have an outpatient induction, which meant we could go home. So after the induction process, which I won't go into detail of what happens there, we managed to come home, and the idea was to chill and relax and just let the propest, the hormones, whatever they put inside, to do its job. And by late afternoon, Becky was starting to have some pains, and they do warn you like that propest does, give you pains, whether phantom or not, like period pains. So she put it down to that. By early evening, they were getting progressively worse, and she was trying to find comfortable positions to be in. By 10 o'clock at night, she had to lay on the bathroom floor to feel comfortable, so she couldn't get comfortable with the pain. So she decided to ring the unit to check if everything was okay, that they thought everything was okay. And they were like, yeah, find a comfortable position to sit in and stay in there and just, ride it out. And she's thinking, there's literally no position I can sit in, stand in, lay down in that is comfortable at this point. Her waters hadn't broken. Contraction durations were not what they say that they should be. So she was just like in this really frequent pain. Again, no waters breaking. Something wasn't up. So by 11 p.m., we decided that we were going to go in. They said, if it gives you peace of mind, come in and see us and we'll check on you. So by 11 o'clock, we were like, we need to go in. And at this point, Becky couldn't speak through the pain. And that's generally a sign that a baby is about to pop out. So we jump in the car. Fortunately, we're only 5 minutes from the hospital. And, walking down this super long corridor to the labour ward, Becky was having to stop every sort of 10 steps to just catch her breath. And, she was making some noises by this point. She was in agony. And so, we kind of arrived, got checked in. It was very quiet. It was very late, half 11, I think, at this point. 10 minutes has passed. Becky's, really struggling. And they get her into this, they call it a triage room to check her. And the midwife sort of comes in. Oh, you're induced this morning. Oh, we'll just have a look. We'll just check. We'll have a look. See how you're doing. I'm sure it's nothing. Has a check. And Becky's like, I feel like I need to push. So she hurries up to check Becky. And yeah, she dilated from 1 centimeter in the morning to 9 centimeters at 11:30 at night now. And that's super, super fast and unexpected. Basically means you're ready to have a baby. And so as soon as she saw that, and I was like, what the hell? 9 centimeters. The midwife rushed us, and Becky, unlocked the bed and wheeled the bed into the delivery suite. So by that point, it was maybe quarter to midnight, and let's say 45 minutes later, Ray was in Becky's arms, having been born through a very, very quick birth. And it was a massive surprise.
And you were there throughout, were you?
Yes.
Due to now they've relaxed COVID rules and all of that.
Yeah, so I could be there throughout labour. I think partner or birth partner of choice can be with you throughout the whole thing. Becky had to have a COVID test whilst pushing, which was quite strange. Wow. That they were like, we need to take.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, considering they didn't ask me to take one or if I'd had one, and yet they're sticking a test up Becky's nose while she's pushing was a bit strange, I thought. And then, so... And
meanwhile, you're just stood there like a complete plum, I don't know what to do. I have no idea how to do it.
The only thing I felt like I could do was offer support and, help Becky breathe through this pain. So I kind of manoeuvred myself towards Becky's head end and was just helping her hold the gas and air, and just kind of stroking her forehead just to encourage her. They were really focused on her breathing, to use the exhaling energy that she was expressing through her screams to internalize it, to really help force the pushes, the contractions. And so just helping her, reminding her every time that that's what she needed to do, and just being there to be with her basically, because I couldn't have imagined what she was going through, but at least I was right there with her. And so I never saw the other end, and I'm glad I didn't, but I was at the right end supporting Becky throughout, and it was just so quick. It was just surprisingly quick. I never thought it would happen so quickly. I thought it'd be a long labour, maybe a C-section, but yeah, it was super, super quick. Ramifications of that were Becky had to...
And here's a question for you.
Go
on. So when you stood there and everything was finally reaching the climax, for want of a better phrase, I remember just smiling, just almost laughing.
Oh yeah,
because I was like, "This is mad." But I was just I'm not trying to smile. I'm not trying to laugh at this. It's just a very insane moment, and probably being happy about it. Do you remember what your overriding emotion was?
I totally had to stop myself from laughing. I had to turn my head away a couple of times. It's so bad, isn't it? But something is so surreal about what you're witnessing that it makes you laugh. It's like a nervous laughter. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I was like, I felt really guilty for like feeling like I wanted to laugh, but I had to turn my head away and sort of compose myself a couple of times. This was sort of before we were seriously into it. And then, just like the overwhelming sense of relief when she came out. Like they lost the heartbeat at one point and hit the buzzer, and like 8 people came rushing in and like dealt with Becky really quickly. I think it was just the sensor had moved, but they dealt with it so swiftly and quickly. And I couldn't praise them enough. Like, they were so amazing. And even like after, when Becky had to have some surgery, like they allowed me and Ray to come and sit next to Becky whilst that was happening in the theatre, and like they were accommodating and like super friendly. And it was just amazing. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect the experience we had. And obviously,
but you can't, though,
no.
can you? How can you possibly know what to expect? And then even if you have an inkling, like chances are if you ever have another one, like it won't be anything like that.
And there was no warm-up either. Like, there was no like couple of days in labour waiting. It was like, you couldn't like get yourself used to the environment, or like the fact that Becky was going through contractions and pain. It was very, very quick. So it's kind of a real blessing, and like that it did go that way. I guess the other side of it meant that we weren't in hospital waiting for long, and then it was over and we could go home. We were in quickly, and then we had to stay in hospital for quite a while after. So when it's, in terms of it being the tumultuous, it was Becky's recovery, but then also Ray. So when we got discharged after a few days, the first time, she ended up losing 14% of her body weight, which is quite a lot when she's 7 pounds, because she couldn't feed properly. She wasn't able to latch on correctly. So we had to go back into hospital to go through blood tests, and she had to go onto formula for a few days just to like boost the weight back on. And in hindsight, it's not a massive deal, but when you're going through it, you're like really worried. And
it's new, isn't it? Like, you have no idea. You've got no context, no whatever. And like you said, when you just don't know, like you just sit there and you go, shit, what now?
Yeah, and that just became stressful. And then you add in the lack of sleep. Of course, I was able to come home at 10 o'clock at night and have a good, like a solid night's sleep. But Becky, it was very sporadic and split. And these are all the obvious things. Like we all know this is what happens when you have a baby. But yeah, it was interesting to go through that. It was great to be able to be there every day, to do what I could to help Becky, to look after Ray. And
I mean, the madness of that is, you think about even not that long ago, like I remember my grandparents would be talking about when my dad was born, for example, my granddad just left. Like, he was like, well, I'll see you when you're done, sort of thing. And it was just kind of left to it. And I feel like in the UK, it's a little bit more like that still, in comparison to what goes on here in Spain. I think they're very quick to kind of push the men to go home and have a sleep. Whereas in Spain, it's kind of like, well, do what you want. And I know, and certainly know, if I'd have sort of tried that one, oh, by the way, I'm going home for a few days, a few nights while you deal with this in the hospital, like they would, might well have been divorced by the end of it. But it's interesting that the difference now, and it's definitely better that you can be involved. And thank heavens for it realistically not being a year ago or 2 years ago in the middle of everything. Like, for example, my brother couldn't be around at all when it was, because it just must be so terrible. Like, especially like you said, sticking God knows how many tests up people's nose and wearing a mask. Like, can you imagine wearing a mask giving birth? Like,
no, and I, and I was in the ward wearing a mask. But that was still, even 6 weeks ago, that was still appropriate.
Yeah, she wasn't,
and
right?
asked for, but no, Becky, of course, wasn't. But I guess that's why she did the test, because we would come and go, but she was going to be there. And it was the hottest week that we'd had. So that it was uncomfortably hot in the wards there. Yeah. So it's, now we're back home. Ray's been putting weight on steadily. Feeding's improving. Now it's just really about finding rhythm and a structure for feeding, because it's been quite intense on Becky. She's been having to breastfeed, and then she's having to express, and then then we're having to bottle feed. So I usually would do the bottle feed of the express milk, but during the night she's doing it, because there's no real point for me to get up to just do that. So yeah,
no, because two people can't do that. She'll be up anyway.
Yeah, and we were doing it. Like we were both
totally
getting up
makes
for the first few nights, and we were like, "Was just no point doing this?" And then it's good if I've got some more energy during the day, so I can get up earlier. Take Ray, Becky can then have like a solid 3 hours where she's not,
You're also, and maybe this is me being a man, but you're also back at work now, right? So there is that of like, well, you have to be strong for that, because when it comes to the weekends, you're going to probably chip in far more than you would have done during the week.
Yeah.
And that's all, like you say, it's about finding that rhythm. One question, Ray.
Yeah.
I really like that name. And actually, I know Sam, who you know as well. He's just had a daughter called Poppy Ray.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a thing.
Yeah,
at the
maybe.
Moment. Where's the name come from? Anything in particular?
Nothing particular, no. So, long story short, when we were thinking about names, and it was both boys and girls before we found out we were having a girl, we were using an app, and it's almost like the Tinder for baby names. You swipe left if you don't like it, and you swipe right if you do, and you both link up to the same account. So when there's a match and you both like the same name, it alerts you, and you end up with a shortlist. So long story short, Becky spent hours and hours and hours doing that her side. She then made me spend hours and hours and hours doing it my side to try and find a shortlist of names, which we ended up with. I can't even remember what they were, because we didn't use any of them. One day, Becky just walks in and says, "What about Ray?" And I said, "Love it, perfect. Let's do it."
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Funny, it's exactly what happened with us after a load of nonsense with Adrienne, and then Marco just came around like within a couple of months of her falling pregnant, and we were just like, yeah. And the minute you're like, neither of you hate it, you're kind of like, right, that's it, done. Like, I'm not having this conversation anymore.
Yeah, and I'd heard of a couple of met a couple of Rays, spelled R-A-E. I'm obviously a huge Star Wars fan, and in Star Wars, there's a character.
Oh, really? I didn't know, mate.
Yeah, didn't know. There's a character called Ray, spelled R-E-Y. So the only thing we were, I wouldn't say debating, because it wasn't really...
Which is king in Spanish, by the way.
King, yes. Yeah. I wanted to spell it R-E-Y. I'm happy with R-A-E, but it would have been great. It would have been cool to have had that Star Wars connection. Because Ray, R-A-E doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of short for Rachel. But it looks good. And yeah, Becky was super keen for that spelling, and I'm happy if she's happy. Because it's just a beautiful name. It's been interesting, like watching our parents' reactions to when we told them what we'd called her, and not really understanding it. Because if you imagine a Ray, like I would have imagined like Ray Winston or someone. It's a very like male name historically, and so like the parents and grandparents have been a bit surprised by it, but everyone else that I've mentioned it to and who's asked has thought it was super nice and a cool name, and we agree. So
well, at least it's pronounced the same either way, mate.
Yeah.
Like with Adrian, we still have this thing, and of like when we introduced everyone to him, and it was like, no, it's Adrian, and they're like, oh, okay, Adrian. No, it's Adrian. And like literally still happened the other day, we were in a taxi with someone on the way to a wedding we just met, and it was like, oh, what kids? You've got a couple of kids. Yeah, what's the names? Adrian and Marco. Oh, Adrian. I love Adrian. And you're like, do you really want to be that pedantic parent that's like, no, it's Adrian, and it's, oh, for God's sake. But at least you won't have that battle.
Did you ever have like English names on the list, or was that never going to be? Was it always going to be a Spanish name for the boys?
I'm trying to remember well, I never really had names. I think whenever my suggestions were anywhere near like the list, it was like, well, I prefer this one more, so no. I was, okay. So yeah, no, you just kind of got to a point. I remember with Adrian, it was like 8 months of absolute nonsense around names, and got to a point of like, right, we really need to choose something. I got very drunk on the beach one time. We went with with my sister-in-law, and they basically got me pissed, made me sign a contract because I was like, look, I'll have more say in the second one, which I didn't.
No.
Just because I just wanted it done. So they took advantage of me, basically.
I mean, what would you have called him if it was an English name?
I really liked I really liked Max. In fact, I really like Maximilian.
Yeah, I like Max.
But like, he would have been Max.
Yeah.
But my mother-in-law couldn't even say Max. It was Mash. And I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work, is it? So, But yeah, what you think like are exotic names for us, because it's different, for them is like, well, that's really old.
Yeah.
Maximilian, or even like Maria for a girl, is like, it was so typical, it's boring. But I'm like, oh, Maria, like, it's nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's just typical English.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, super happy with the names.
Well, I'm glad everything's getting in a good place, man.
Thanks, dude.
I'm saying, it takes time, and obviously every day and every week we'll continue to have new and challenging moments, which is definitely what we're finding with the kids at the moment. But I won't bore people with that. But
yeah, I get to hear all of the what's to comes, which are dreadful. The teething stories and the bedtime, bit when they get more mobile and they can actually move around and stuff. So, but it's just embracing it and finding your own techniques and ways of dealing with it, and just figuring it out yourself. You can't, just gotta. I keep seeing things pop up, which is like, with my second child, I didn't do, and then they list all the things they didn't do. I didn't, I deleted this app, I stopped doing this, I ignored that, I just did it. The first time round, you kind of worry a lot and overthink a lot of things. The second time, you're like, it's fine. They're going to be fine.
Right. It's entirely true. We're doing that with Marco now. Like, there's stuff like now he's way more settled in terms of self-soothing, and Adrian's still at nearly 3, is nowhere near it. Whereas we've just like, Marco just leave him in a box full of sand and glass if I can. Whereas Adrian just needs that a little bit more attention. But it's just the way it is, I guess. He's just so tired and so like sick of it. It's just like, whatever. As long as you're quiet, I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I love parenting. Parenting is fun. Definitely be a parent for anyone listening.
I don't know. I don't know. Have you been listening to Parenting Hell with another podcast, Parenting Hell with Rob Beckett and Josh Whitcomb? Yeah.
No, like, intermittently, I just find it hilarious. Like, whenever I get the opportunity to, I think it's very, very good.
I think it's been helpful. I think it's quite, I didn't think I'd ever listen to podcasts about parenting and whatnot, but I suppose those guys didn't either. And it's just, it's great to be able to share stories, find the fun and laughter in it. And it's thoroughly entertaining. I feel like it's a great podcast to listen to if you're thinking about becoming a parent, or if you've just become one or are one. I think it's great. I'm surprised you haven't submitted the can you say Josh Whitcomb line for the start of the podcast from one of your two.
That's an idea. Yeah, you've inspired me.
Josh Whitcomb. That was in German for some reason.
I think he's in Austria, actually.
A segue. I'm back.
So, continuing the theme of fun, we're going to talk about fun rather than work. I'm going to talk a little bit about. We're just going to segue away from babies for a second. I've got some new headphones. For anyone watching this, you might notice that I'm not wearing in-ear headphones, because I'm sure you've paid a huge amount of attention to detail as to every single episode. If you're watching, I'm sure. So I got to the point of I really wanted some in-ear decent noise cancelling headphones, rather than the massive Bose QC35s I have, which are very nice, but also seemingly after 5 or 6 years are slightly broken. They refuse to turn off, which is a bit annoying, but whatever. So I've got a nice, as you can see in my ears, the Sony, and I'm going to read this from my notes, WF-1000XM4s, which are really nice. I got them on a Amazon Prime Day deal, and it's taken me a while to get used to them, but it's cool to just have a non-wired and a reliable in-ear headphone without it just looking like I'm just about to take off in a helicopter.
And why did you choose them off? I know you're obviously a sound guy, but why did you choose them over AirPods, any other sort of in-ear wireless headphones?
That's a very good question. I did the usual, like there's the Quiet Comfort, so the Bose equivalent at this level, and I think they've just brought out or are about to bring out the XM5s from Sony as well, which is just the latest one. I think it was also about, well, I want some nice new headphones. I don't want to spend a huge amount, but these have been out for now a couple of years, and it was at a good price. The good thing is, so with the headphones, you can change the various modes on things, and which when you tap them, you can change what the reaction or the action is. So instead of it being play and pause, you can say the right earbud turns the noise cancelling on, or puts you on. It's also got Alexa enabled as well, which actually, now that you asked that question, was basically the selling point. That again, having another Alexa device in my house, which is now going to trigger bless her, just sat right there. Now I've just said it. But yeah, I just wanted something that was reliable, and that it was Sony. It's a decent brand, and yeah, so that's one of my pieces of fun at the moment. I think also it's just knowing that if I want to be sat outside in the sun or on the beach or whatever, and again, you want good quality headphones, you want that noise cancelling, especially to cancel the noise of your children or other children around you. I didn't want to be sat there with massive headphones and over ears.
Yeah, it'd be very hot.
Exactly. Yeah. And my dad does that. Like, this is going to be one of the snippets for the outtakes, but my dad will be one of those guys that sat on the beach wearing like trunks but massive Bose headphones just because he wants good quality. And you can see him sweating, and you're like, what are you doing? I'm fine, I'm not sweating. It's like, mate, I can see you. Like, and then you kind of slowly move your towel away so you're not sat next to him whilst he's doing that. And
well, people wear them in the gym, don't they? They like, huge over ears when working out. I mean, I don't get that either.
Just not comfortable, just sweaty, like you say.
Yeah. And
anyway, it was a little treat to myself. Like,
oh, nice. And how's the noise cancelling on them? Are there different modes, or is it?
Yeah, good. Yeah, so they have a function. I forget what they call it. It's like ambient sound as well. So you have full noise cancelling, and then you can, if you know that you need to speak to someone, you sort of tap it or hold it for a couple of seconds, and it reduces that so you can hear yourself. It almost turns your mic on so you can hear yourself, and it lets in some ambient noise. And I think also that what's quite cool that comes with it, it comes in a little case, which I've got somewhere, little here.
Yeah, nice.
That's it. So it comes in a little case, which is a charging case. So you've got, I think, about 8 hours of battery plus 4 in the charging case as well. So yeah, pretty cool. I guess I would recommend them for anyone.
You insured them, Stu, in case you lose one in the sand or something,
Don't talk to me about insurance. I've been waiting for the bank for about 4 weeks to give me a quote for upping my contents insurance now that we've got solar panels and everything else that we've bought over the last couple of years. So yeah, probably not. Basically, in short.
Fair enough. Just better take care of them then. Better take care of them.
No, that's much against my my usual.
Or just don't use them.
How about? Just they look nice. Yeah, they look nice in the case. How about you, Alex? How about outside of being a dad? What fun have you come across, or any escapism have you managed to come across?
I think I've been getting into I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast, but I got myself like a cycling setup. Never been massively into cycling. Had a mountain bike, sat in the shed for the last 7 years. But wanting to get a bit fitter, lose a few pounds, but also just, release those endorphins, I decided to invest into a road bike and managed to pick one up on Facebook Marketplace, which was great because, I didn't want to invest a lot of money, but I didn't want to, get a cheap old bike. And I've just found a really good deal on Facebook Marketplace. Guy who'd bought one over lockdown, rode it once, didn't want to ride it again, listed it on there, so managed to grab that locally, which was amazing. On top of that, and obviously I went out for a few cycles. It's got so hot that became just more and more daunting to do. So what I managed to also get on Facebook Marketplace was I totally forgot what it's called. You pop your bike on it, and it sits in the floor. So it essentially turns your road bike into an exercise bike. The back wheel goes onto this gyro, and as you cycle it, the gyro turns, and therefore generates information data like your speed, distance, all this sort of stuff. So you can track it. You can also connect it to something called Zwift, which is an app. I think I might have mentioned this before, which opens up and unlocks different courses. So you can cycle around Central Park in New York, for example, and some other just made up courses. Watching it on your phone or connect it to a laptop, connect it to a TV. And yeah, it just feels like a really immersive way of cycling that also introduces some sense of competition and direction and trackability and competitiveness with yourself. So yeah, I've been sort of trying to continue to do that. Obviously dropped off a few weeks, but jumping on the bike for 30 minutes to an hour.
So if I turn up at Milton Keynes on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, am I going to be greeted with a lycra clad Alex Lawrence speeding past me at 30 miles an hour on a road
in my
bike?
kitchen? Yes, in my kitchen.
In your kitchen?
Yeah, I think I can get a bit more out of an indoor cycle ride than I have been able to on the outdoor ones. So yeah, I'm in my lycra, my spandex, and cycling away, sweating my arse off. But it's been really good. Turn a few fans on, fill the bottle of water, and just go. And yes, over really quickly. You know, it's a low stress form of exercise on knees, ankles, all that sort of stuff. It's just been really good, and yeah, just been enjoying kind of getting into that and buying all the bits for the bike and the mounts for my phone and all those bits and bobs, even a helmet, even though cycling indoors, don't really need one.
That might be why you're sweating.
Yeah. 13 layers of marathon cycling equipment on. But yeah, that's been fun. And then it's just been good to see some friends again and like get out of the house and try and go to a few barbecues and just meet up with people.
It's totally stealing my thunder for the next section.
Well,
mate,
no, this is a good segue into your section then. But yeah, just it's been really hard to get out of the house. How long it takes to get ready and go, and it's been really great to be able to do that a few times over the last month, and yeah, just been enjoying seeing people and feeling normal again. But yeah, what about you then?
Yeah, it's important, man. You've got to be able to balance it.
Yeah.
Love. So I wanted to, you kind of started touching on what I was saying about, and it being summer and finally feeling like it's summer. So it's been and this is me playing a very small violin in my world, but it's been quite stressful 4 months with doing the outdoor reno and everything, and finally being at a place that it's more or less usable. Not finished and frustratingly won't be for another month or so. But yeah, been able to sort of make the most of summer now finally, and we've had a couple of visits from some of my closest friends that have come out, and it's very interesting how your dynamic changes. So you know, one of them came out with his partner and child, and another one came out just as a single guy. Well, not even a single guy, just without his family. So it completely changes the way you do things, and it kind of takes you back a little bit to pre-child life. But yeah, it's been good to just kind of kick off with summer, because where we are, obviously that's where, you know, the benefits and the bonuses that come with living where we do really come into play. And yeah, we ended up doing with Lee, we ended up doing I can't even talk. We ended up doing the El Portus kayak that we did with you guys for 4 years ago now. Yeah,
that was fun.
Really good fun. Still really enjoyed that. Yeah,
you swim into that.
Lovely to get out. That was a surprise.
Swim into that cave. Did you manage to?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was lovely because it was quite funny, and it's not that funny unless you were there. But we were kind of got to the end of it at the dark cave, right? And they said to it, I don't know if it happened when we were when you guys came, but the sort of the tour guides said, right, we're going to turn all the lights off, and you can listen to the piece in here. So because I was next to the guy that I've known for 25 years, or since I was probably about 7, instead of just letting the piece flow with 20 people that we'd never met before, it was like let it be quiet for a couple of seconds, and then just made a little sound, and it just completely killed the vibe with a load of American people, which just, it's just funny how the little jokes that were funny years ago are still funny. Like even being a dad now and living in another country, it's just pathetic, really. But some things never change, right? But yeah, just really enjoying having some time off, making work around it, which is great, rather than everything else working around work. And actually, as a final thing, going to see Sting live in concert 2 years late tomorrow, which would be wicked. Up in Murcia in the Plaza de Toros is a bull ring, which I've never been to. So that'll be awesome.
That's a huge act to play. They usually get huge acts playing up there.
No, not really. I mean, every so often, yeah, I suppose. But I think that's one of the things I do miss from living in the UK, and specifically living close to London, right? It'd be so frequent that everyone comes and plays, and you could say, well, I'll go and get tickets for that, or I'll go and see this person and that person. And I think, obviously, when they do come over here, you're kind of like, well, I want to make the most of it, because I think the reality is it's been certainly 4 years since we've been to a concert here, and certainly a couple of years since I've been to a concert, period. So I'm really excited, and Sting's one of my favourites. So, yeah, and also interesting because I went to see him with a friend back in when I was 18, and listened to him way, way, way more than I knew before when I first went to see him. So now I'll be really quite emotional about it, actually. So, yeah, just really excited to see a concert.
Yeah, I mean,
so that'll be
that's
fun.
the bucket list act, isn't it? And to see him in that sort of environment as well. I mean, in the ball ring, that's
yeah, I mean, it's going to be 45 degrees probably on a Wednesday evening. But, there you go. Just lose 3 stone in sweat probably.
Sounds good. Sounds like a lot of fun, Stu. Sounds like you're finding a good balance and making the most of the summer, I guess. Seeing everyone and having visitors. And, yeah,
I mean, we're excited for it all and stuff. And we're, this weekend we're having a bit of an inauguration party, as I call it here, for everything that we've done. So we invited, like 20-25 people coming over for a big sort of pool party day. Everyone, and the good things, like everyone's bringing a plate of their own. Someone's bringing tortilla, or someone brings like a little empanadillo or sandwich, or whatever people want to make, dessert, whatever, and bring their own drinks and stuff. So we're going to put a load of stuff on as well, of course, but just keep it easy. Like we'll do a little paella ring. We'll do some salchichas, some longanita, or whatever, like little easy meats to cook off on the barbecue. So excited for that, and somewhat worried about it, because I know that everyone's coming enjoy a gin and tonic far more than I do, and that says something. So yeah.
Are you going to have any? Are you going to have any chipolatas and?
Just said words.
Just trying to think. Well, we would have our British barbecue. A little sausage.
Well, I didn't even. The thing is, you don't even, like. You'd be like, I'll do some sausages and burgers and stuff. But it didn't even enter my mind, because it's just again, just already so integrated into like, oh no, we'll always do this kind of food because it's typical here. And like, actually, burgers becomes more of a faff, believe it or not, which is really easy to do. So
what were those little things you just said? What were those 2 things you just said that you were going to have? What are they?
Oh, salchicha and longanita. So it's all a lot of like. Spanish food is pork based, or jamon or whatnot. But yeah, basically just different kinds of sausages, or obviously chorizo and whatnot. So I won't be going to town, but I'll just keep it easy and do and again start using everything that we've enjoyed and put up outside.
Sounds amazing. Enjoy. I'd send some pics, mate. I want to see how it all looks. So hopefully we'll get to visit at some point, maybe next year when Ray's a little older.
That'll be the one.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
Looking forward to it.
Man. So we're in our final section, I'd say. Tell me about what's coming on in your life outside of little Ray, outside of the challenges and the joys that come with that. What would you say is like the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks? What's going on?
Yeah, so a lot of good focus at work with business growth.
And how are you finding that getting back into work, by the way? Outside of,
I'm finding it okay. It's been good. I think it was very, very, very busy before I went on paternity leave, a lot of shoots and wrapping up projects. But coming back, there's been no live project that I've been working on. This week's really the first week I've been receiving briefs, which is good. So I've only been back 2 weeks, but it's been good because I've been able to catch up with the guys and have some good, strong focus on business growth and marketing and the company's proposition and how we're, obviously there's a recession that's going to happen and how we can help support our clients through that as well. So a lot of top line thinking, which has been really good, as well as getting to know new members of our team who are amazing and real positive addition to our crew. So yeah, really great spending some time getting to know them and working with them on several smaller internal projects. So yeah, it's just, I think the coming weeks and months, getting into production, going on a few shoots, continuing with what I've just said in terms of business growth. I think outside of that, just looking forward to, we've got quite a few busy weekends with seeing parents and some family. We're going to a wedding in Bristol with Ray, so that's going to be great seeing those guys, but also a new experience being with her doing that. So I'm just looking forward to that a lot. And then back end of August, a week off, so hopefully we'll be able to go away for a week somewhere. At the moment we're kind of conjuring up ideas of a holiday for sort of November time, and Disneyland Paris has been thrown into the mix, which is a conversation considering we've got a newborn. But Becky assures me that there are parent swap on rides. So one parent goes first and then you swap. You don't have to re-queue.
I have one piece of advice for that, other than you're fucking mad. don't do it, basically. Well, no, two pieces of advice. There's an episode, maybe we mentioned this. There's an episode of the Parents in Hell podcast, where they went to Disneyland. Have you seen this or heard this?
In America, I'd add, not Paris.
Yeah. But that's great. A great listen and made me laugh a lot. Other than that, so we went away for 3 or 4 days in the end of June, and actually we went with my in-laws, because we booked it and we were like, well, we really want to go away with those guys. And to be honest, all we could see is that Adrian and Marco are just awful. So we were like, how do we make this an actual holiday? Like, if we want to just go and be in the spa for an hour, like, can we have any moment to ourselves over the course of 4 days? So we brought my in-laws along, which was massive. Like, I cannot overstate. I cannot underestimate how incredibly important that was to us, just to give us a few moments, because it's just challenging all the time. And I must say, like, until they're probably another year or two older, like, I'm not going away without them or them or someone of the equivalent. Because it's like, it's just massive help. So if you're doing it, go with someone, for heaven's sake. If you if you have to spend double to take someone who's happy to help, like, do it, because you'll just get so much more value out of it.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. It's yes, there's definitely something on such an expensive trip, I guess, is to get the most out of it and not feel like you've wasted the opportunity. So yeah, it's an idea. It's just considering it, but looking forward to having a couple of breaks. Even though I had a month off in paternity, it was obviously still very.
Well, it's not off,
busy,
though, is it? It's just not. It's not a holiday. Oh, you've had 4 weeks holiday. Well, let's be honest. It's not a holiday. It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. So looking forward to that coming up, really. Yeah, and just getting back into the swing of things and adjusting and having a positive outlook and making the most of it. Now I've got a beautiful daughter, and a young family. It's all new, and it opens us up to a lot of new experiences, which is exciting. What about you, Stu?
Yeah, man. New experiences will be over the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks. Well, firstly, you're going to have to buy a car, because Marta's starting a new job in September up in Murcia, which is a 40-minute drive up the road. So, yeah, exciting, really good for her to sort of get back into being Marta and not just being a mum.
Yep.
And obviously the kids will be going to, Adrian starts preschool, proper preschool rather than just a nursery, which is mental. And then Marco will obviously start in childcare as well. So, well, firstly, thank God that childcare here in Spain is significantly cheaper than in the UK, because obviously that won't be happening. But also, yeah, buying a new car. What the hell? Why is it so expensive? Like, to buy a second-hand car, it was expensive before. Now it's nuts.
Yep.
Honestly, like, we were looking at, Marta quite likes the Mocha, but like the Mocha that you had, she wants that. But like, if you want a car, like for example, I don't know, 2016 model, which was, what was yours? 214, 215?
Around then, 215, yeah.
But with, let's say, 25,000 miles, you're talking nearly 14,000 euros, which is what, 12 grand for a car that's 6-7 years old. Like, it's mad. It's absolutely insane. So you kind of look at it, and the frustrating thing was when we bought the Tucson back in October last year, we traded in a Corsa for like 4 or 5 grand because you didn't need a second car at that time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you knew, you would have just probably kept it, but you can't. You never knew. And I suppose the challenge that we're now about to face is you're in this sort of middle point of needing a car, but it's a 9-month contract, which should lead to other things, hopefully, but you have no guarantee. So you're kind of buying a car with the premise of you might have to sell it after. So the thing of, I'm going to buy a new car because it's more economic, it makes more economic sense to buy a new one than to buy a second-hand one. Well, no, because we could have to sell it quite quickly after, because why am I going to have a second car when I don't need it? So but just have to work through it and start looking around. It might mean, shopping around a bit and having to do a 5-6 hour drive up to the middle of Spain, which you forget how massive this place is, to get a better deal. But if that saves you a couple of grand, then you do it and you make a day trip out of it. But anyway, that's exciting, because that means that we'll have far more routine than we currently do because of summer. And I think she's going to be a lot happier with it, which is obviously going to mean for a happier household. And ultimately, more importantly than anything else, my children will be in school most of the day, which means they'll be tired when they come to bed, and I won't be taking them to bed at 10:30 at night because they'll be so tired. It'll be much earlier, hopefully. So
win-win.
Fingers
all
crossed.
Sounds good. Sounds like it's all good. All positive stuff going on. But yeah, it's been really good to...
Hopefully, mate. Yeah,
Yeah, well, absolutely. And it's been really good to hear like that you're doing well and having a great summer, and yeah, everything's going the way you planned it to. And yes, it's been a good year so far. So I think we're running to the end of our time on this podcast. It's been going for about 50 minutes. So yeah, I think it's been good to catch up. We're going to try and get back into more of a regular rhythm with catching up and putting out the podcast and sharing life. Yeah, we have to share a bit more about work in the next ones. But yeah, anything you want to wrap up with saying, Stu?
No, I think you're right, man. Like, it's nice to get back into some sort of groove with this, hopefully. It's, the point of this has been to have something that we can reflect on things positively and have a glass half full approach to it. And that's what I try to talk about this day. I'll sit here and bitch and moan about the difficulties of being a dad, but honestly, like, wouldn't change it for the world. And the reality is that you just have to be positive about it, and every day, next day is an opportunity to be better than you were the day before, and make things happen for yourself and make everyone around you happy. And that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you managed to see this new episode pop up in your feeds and you get to enjoy it. If you have any feedback for us, feel free to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing you again in a few weeks' time. But till then, take care and see you later.